Hey everybody, welcome to our next special edition of the Plate Exchange. I'm Steve with On the Ring Apron. We've got Yulisa back there running the camera. Say hello everyone.
Hi everybody.
Not gonna spin the camera around and say hi to everybody.
Absolutely not.
As you can see, we've changed our backdrop here a little bit. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately for y'all because you don't see it, the little one decided that he wanted to take a nap in our workspace.
Good night.
So, no presentation on our whiteboard, but we do get a chance to show you our belt shelf. So, I'm going to step over to the side here a little bit and let Yulisa get a decent shot of that.
Okay.
But this is where we've got all our belts. We've got more around the living room. She doesn't have to show all of that. But either way, a lot of belts, and I'm sure a lot more to go in the future here. But we are here to discuss the recent championship changes. On our last episode, we talked about a couple of titles that have changed hands, Briggs and Jensen winning the NXT UK tag titles, as well as Ilya Dragunov dropping the NXT United Kingdom Championship due to injury. We've also have a new set of NXT Women's Tag Team Champions that we finally have an opportunity to be able to acknowledge. The last episode we had talked about Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez winning the titles, then because of their betrayal, Cora Jade's betrayal, ultimately both of them separately relinquishing the championships, and they ultimately now have new champs. We're going to acknowledge them here on this episode. Acknowledge them.
Yes.
Yes. But either way, getting a quick chance to zoom in here, so that way you can see two of our new sets of plates here. As I said, we do have new champions in terms of the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Katana Chance and Kayden Carter finally winning the championship after a long wait, and so we have their plates ready to go. And then we actually showed the Briggs and Jensen plates on our last episode, but now, and I'll zoom attention over here, we finally have the belt. And we're going to go ahead and start off with that one, so you'll get a chance to get a decent look here when I pull it out of the shelf. So let's go ahead and begin with our new UK Tag Team Champions, that being the team of Brooks and Jensen. So let me get this new bad boy out of here, and this will actually be the debut of all of this new championship belt. So let me bring it out here to the front and let everybody get a good look at this one, because this one you don't see around very often, especially here in America. But this is one that I honestly wasn't a huge fan of aesthetically to start, but honestly it's grown on me. I like the blue. I like the blue outside plates, the generic outside plates there. Honestly, I think it fits that whole idea of the United Kingdom, and the Europe motif. More on that here at the end of the episode is, of course, a big announcement coming out of the office of the Triple H, stating today. But we'll get more on that in a minute. But, an opportunity for us to debut this one for the very first time. The NXT United Kingdom Tag Team Championship. We've had a number of great teams that have held this title over the years since its existence. Former champions Pretty Deadly, who are now in NXT, are now there. The number one contenders for the championships that was announced at Heatwave, Gallus, will now have an opportunity to try to re-win the titles this upcoming next week on NXT as they battle the current champions Briggs and Jensen. So lots of teams, vying for the opportunity to try to, win this championship, and NXT using the American platform to try to put some prestige on the United Kingdom titles and also on the United Kingdom roster as a whole. As you saw on NXT Heatwave this last Tuesday, you saw a team like Gallus. Of course, we saw the new United Kingdom champion, but more on him here in a little bit. But they finally acknowledged Dragunov's relinquishment of the championship, and then acknowledging the new champion in Tyler Bate. And then also you saw the debuts of people over the last couple of weeks, like Pretty Deadly. You saw Blair Davenport make her debut at Heatwave, where she has already said she's gunning for the NXT Women's Championship, which of course is still held by Mandy Rose, our favorite, I would say our second favorite follower. So we'll say that. So we've got the generic plates off. They didn't get to stay on there for very long. And we will go ahead and switch to the Briggs and Jensen plate. Let everybody get one more look at those. We had a chance to show those off earlier. Hopefully we're getting decent lighting in here.
Yeah, we're working with it.
We don't have the powerful lighting we have in the other room, and even that's not fantastic. But we'll go ahead and get these on here. But the one thing I'll say, and I'm gonna let Alyssa talk here for a minute because I've been flapping my gums here for a few minutes. You know, Alyssa, give your thoughts, not just in NXT, but just in WWE as a whole. Your thoughts on the dynamic of how WWE is different with Triple H and Stephanie now running the show versus when Vince McMahon was running the show. You know, albeit Vince being who he was, like him, hate him, doesn't matter. What are your thoughts on the differences since H took over?
I'm just gonna call it what it is. I've noticed one huge difference, and it's definitely people put in like the microphone down, and there's more more fighting, and they let their fighting get what they need across. And also, you can also see like, and I know you mentioned this a lot, but you can also notice like everybody looks stronger. Like, if that makes sense. Everybody looks stronger. Even the people who lose look strong. Like, and there's nothing more true than that statement right there. That's like the number one difference. I don't know.
Well, you know, I think that's a great point. You know, NXT became the conglomerate and the great, you know, powerhouse of development that it became because they put the value back on the wrestling. They put the value less on the sports entertainment portion of it and more on we're going to appeal to the wrestling fan. You always used to hear about the casual fan, and you'd see it sometimes that a person would debut from NXT and would come up to WWE and they would be loved in NXT, but would not get the same type of reception once they got to the main roster. One name that immediately comes off the bat is Baron Corbin. Corbin was revered in NXT, loved in NXT as a face or as a heel. Didn't matter. He was loved down there. Came to the main roster and was very quickly kind of sent down to the bottom after he got that Battle Royal win. So, you know, he's been one that has kind of, you know, taken that side. Not everyone comes up from NXT and gets the rub like they want. But let me bring this out front here. But we finally have the Briggs and Jensen plates on there. As I said on here, they are... Turn here, that's fine. They are going to defend the championships against former champions Gallus on NXT this next week. So these plates may not be on here for long. We do have the Gallus plates. We just didn't have the belt at the time. So now we actually do. So we will see if they're able to get back the championships or if Brooks and Jensen will continue on. But we're going to move that over there. And we're going to get back to that thought on Triple H here and how he's running things in just a moment. But let's switch to our second of what's going to be 3 belts, and that is the NXT Women's Tag Team titles, as we talked about. We have the new champions. After Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez dropped the championships, there was a fatal 4-way elimination match to determine the new champions. And it finally goes to the team of Kayden Carter and Katana Chance. Katana Chance, of course, formerly known as Casey Catanzaro. They've been a team for seemingly forever. And finally, getting the push that I think that a lot of people thought that they have deserved for quite some time. And so it's nice to see the belts finally on them. As a result, they've turned them back face again. And we're going to see if they can make a run. So we once again will bust out our NXT Women's Tag Team titles. We did, as we said in the last episode, left the Toxic Attraction plates on there because there was a chance that Gigi and Jacy Jayne were going to win back the title, so why exchange the plates if we're just going to put them right back on there? But ultimately they did not, so it will ultimately be the plates of Kayden and Katana that will be going on to this one. So we'll get to that here. So, returning back to the conversation, though, like I said, it became more about the wrestling. And it's not just you're seeing it in NXT, you're seeing it on the main roster now, too.
Absolutely.
Piggybacking on what you said earlier, Alyssa, they talked about, making everyone look strong. And you're seeing it best example I can give is the matches with like Bobby Lashley's United States title matches over the last couple of weeks. It doesn't matter. Even the person that loses still looks strong while they do it. They are making the person who loses the match still look strong where nobody takes a fall. Ciampa looks fantastic now, and his career has been revitalized due to H coming back. And even though he didn't win the title off Lashley, he still looked great. AJ Styles looked fantastic in his match. And you're using these storylines to be able to build up other stories, like you've got the return of Dexter Lumis that, you know, you're curious to see where that is, but it seems like they're going to merge him with Styles. A great person to merge a person like Lumis with upon his return. And then you carry it over into an NXT storyline where Indy Hartwell, who of course in storyline is married to Dexter, gets a little forbidden love letter, which then leads to Blair Davenport's entry into it. Like, all the stories are intertwined now to where you're intrigued. And it's really made the entire experience enjoyable once again as a fan. Moving to the exchange here real quick. Toxic Attraction plates come off. We showed these earlier, the Kayden and Katana plates. We'll now head on there. We did check. Kayden is on the left side, or left of the main portion, so we will put hers over there. And then Katana will go on the other side. But you look at just the overall feel in general, and just, it doesn't matter which story you're seeing, you're excited as a fan. Another match that, we talk about, using strong people and using storylines. On Raw this last week, you had the match between Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens.
Absolutely.
Who, two of the best, you know what the two of them can do in the ring, and they didn't pull any punches on it. They both just said, look, let's stop talking and let's fight, And they put on a 25-minute banger, that made both of them look fantastic. That even though the match ended up in a non-finish with the Usos ultimately attacking Drew McIntyre, both of them looked absolutely fantastic throughout the match. The fact is, you're now genuinely, we had periods of time, even as the biggest of fans, where some nights, we slogged through Monday Night Raw. Some days we're like, when is this over? Because the matches were boring and they were doing a lot of promos and a lot of talking, and it wasn't fun anymore, and you'd look and it'd only be like 9:15, 9:30 Eastern, and you're like, what on earth is happening here? Now all of a sudden, you blink and it's main event time. And it's like, what? Because you have been thoroughly entertained every step of the way. I think that, and granted, he's, it's bound to, to slide the other way. There's no way that they could stay up this forever. But for now, through the first 3+ weeks of running the show, I don't think H has missed yet. To steal a Carmelo Hayes line here, when he shoots, he don't miss.
He did not miss.
I don't think he's missed once, and he is keeping people tuning in every week. When your top ratings for Monday Night Raw over the last 2 years have been literally the last 3 episodes, that tells you something changed for the better. And we'll continue more on this in a minute here. Here is the Women's Championship for NXT. Kayden Carter and Katana Chance now on the belt. And I've got a feeling, I think this one may hang around for a little bit, because this has been a team that has been extremely popular down in NXT. I think a lot of people thought that it was going to be a heel turn by one of them, and you could start seeing it brew maybe a little bit with Kayden. But ultimately, this is a team that I think everybody wanted to win the title, and then they finally did. So it was great to finally see them holding gold. Lord knows they both waited long enough, and now we'll see what they'll do with it. And that moves us to our final belt, which is the United Kingdom Championship, one that we don't get a chance to show off too often here on our show, just as rare as any of the other UK titles here. But we have the United Kingdom Championship here. In our last episode, we did acknowledge, I gotta go grab the little buttons here, but we did acknowledge that Ilya Dragunov, due to injury, would have to relinquish the United Kingdom Championship He gave a fantastic speech on UK this last week that says, you know, if you thought I was strong before to win the championship, imagine how strong and dangerous I'm going to be to win it back. And so he looked absolutely amazing. So ultimately the plates were taken off while we awaited the new champion. There was a 4-person tournament, and it was won by the first ever now 2-time United Kingdom champion, and that is Tyler Bate. Now, for the first time in the years, Tyler Bate now actually has plates, because when he won the championship the first time, they weren't switching side plates at the time. So he always held the generic, the generic W's, and it would ultimately be the second champion, Pete Dunne, now Butch, hopefully becoming Dunne again soon, that ultimately ended up being the first one to actually get plates. So with that, Tyler Bate gets his first set of championship plates. Of course, him making his re-debut in NXT as he confronted the NXT champion Braun Breaker at the end of Heatwave, and every indication is it looks like they are on a collision course for a match against each other here coming up soon. And I guess it's the perfect time to segue into the announcement that was made today. 2 major announcements, both involving the NXT UK brand. First of all, following the news of Heatwave, and now they've made it official, although some timing details are still coming out, there is going to be a premium live event on Sunday, September 4th, which will be the night following Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, where somewhere out in the UK, possibly Cardiff, London, they haven't fully disclosed it all yet, there is going to be a premium live event for the second time called Worlds Collide, which is basically NXT's version of Survivor Series, where NXT US battles NXT UK in several competitive matches, including champion versus champion. Now, most of the time you would say, okay, well, the champions will battle each other, non-title, no big deal. But there could be some larger ramifications with the second announcement, and that is that NXT UK is now going to be rebranded as NXT Europe. There's been, for years, so many great talents that have come out of places like Austria, aka Gunter, Germany, Ludwig Kaiser, many French folks, we've obviously, and of course a lot of talent like A-Kid and Paige and a number of others who have come from the United Kingdom. And so rather than just only giving UK its due, they now are going to rebrand it as NXT Europe. So there are a lot of people speculating, and I guess we'll find out over the next few weeks, whether the UK brand and the NXT brands at this Worlds Collide are going to have unification matches where there's only going to be one NXT champion for each at the end, and then Europe may rebrand with new champions, or whether it will just be champion versus champion at this one event. But here you go, the United Kingdom Championship for now in the hands of the inaugural champion and the first ever 2-time Tyler Bate, holding the championship. It looks like he has his eyes set on Braun Breaker as his next opponent. So, with that brings us to the end of Plate Exchange. Alyssa, feel free to back me up here, but we got exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah.
And it looks like, like I said earlier, H hasn't missed yet, but I think the best is still to come. I don't think we're anywhere close to done yet.
I think you're right.
And he's making it exciting, and made it so exciting to the point that people on other promotions, we don't talk about those promotions here, they're like Bruno.
Ooh.
We don't talk about that. But even other promotions sitting here saying, yeah, we had our shot to finish WWE off and we didn't get the job done, and now it might be, no pun intended, game over. So we'll see, but right now we are as excited to be WWE fans as we have been in years. And we enjoyed the product, enjoyed it enough that we've been doing a show for 2.5 years. We've added a new person with us that's holding the camera today that, wasn't a part of this when it all started, and she believed in everything enough that she wanted to be a part of this too. But now you genuinely look forward to getting home and turning on Raw, NXT, SmackDown. Now if you haven't gotten into UK, now's the time to get into UK, because you're about to start seeing them more on NXT, And it's going to be important to know who these people are and where they came from, because, I mean, it's clear they're getting ready to do something big here. And so we're excited to be a part of it, and just excited to be, you know, I want to be in Cardiff so bad. We are going to have a member of On the Ring Apron. If you haven't seen our community page, we've got a young lady named Paige. We met her from the UK. She was at WrestleMania.
Ooh, Paige.
But she's going to be the honorary oos.
Honorary oos.
You know, that's going to represent us at Cardiff for Clash at the Castle. We may now have to see if she can go to Worlds Collide too. I'm sure she wouldn't mind going to 2 events, you know, on our behalf, but we'll have to see if that can happen, and also can we afford it. Damn. Because I don't know if you've seen any prices out there. It is not cheap.
Ooh.
But anyway, a lot of stuff to look forward to. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode, an NXT UK kind of themed episode here. If you haven't been watching it, jump in. It's on Thursdays. It comes on live at 3, and then they re-air it again on the network at 8 o'clock. You know, it's only an hour, commercial-free. It's a great show. A lot of good talent over there, including some you're going to start seeing on NXT here real soon. So, this is Steve. Catch you later.
Bye.